Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
And welcome to the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeff Malinoff, and with me again is Mark Souza, my friend. And today we are going to be talking about Thursday Night Football matchup between the Eagles and the Football Giants, as well as our top 5 power rankings for the MVP so far through 5 weeks in the NFL. We'll also be talking about the college football top 25 matchups that will be happening this weekend and other things to come. So we'll start off with the Thursday Night Football matchup between the Eagles and the Giants. This seems like it's a relatively even matchup due to their records and how they've been playing. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles come in, of course, the defending Super Bowl champions. The Giants have been down for the last couple of years. Obviously,
that's an understatement.
Yeah, having just a terrible season last year, which saw them get the number 2 pick in the draft that we'll see tonight, Saquon Barkley. But yes, the Eagles, though, they have not had the start that they envisioned coming into the season. Carson Wentz still working back from that knee injury, of course, offseason rehab. It took him a couple weeks here. I think he's improving. He's looking more comfortable as the games go on, but I'm not sure if we're seeing the 100% Carson Wentz, but it will be interesting to see tonight how he reacts, how his body reacts coming off a short rest since he just played on Sunday. What do you think? Do you think that he's fully back, or do you think that he's still, I don't know if he's physically rehabbing, but maybe mentally rehabbing from that injury?
He's still not at his best. Like, he was an MVP candidate last year before he tore his ACL. Now he's back, but I think he's still in the process of making that return 100%. It looks like he's still trying to figure it out, how his knee feels and how he feels in the pocket. So we will definitely see how things progress, but I think this is definitely going to be a prove-it game for him to prove that he's 100%.
Yeah, his numbers don't look bad at all. He has 914 yards, 67% completion percentage, 5 TDs and an INT. I think he's looking to bump those touchdown numbers a little bit. The Eagles are sitting at 20 points a game scored, and I think that their offense is a little bit better than that. So they're looking for probably to get in that 24 points, 25 points a game range. Seems like they're heading in the right direction. However, they have some big injury news this week, as we have learned that Jay Ajayi, he wasn't too happy with the play calling on Sunday, but, of bigger importance here, he actually got put on IR this week. He has a torn ACL. So a lot of people will say that he's not one of the best running backs in the league or anything like that, but he is a guy that the Eagles could rely on, especially in the short yardage game. Do you see Jay Ajayi's absence being a problem for the Eagles as they look to improve their offense?
Definitely gonna put a dent in their offense. It's not like gonna be they can get over it quickly. They are looking to trade to get a running back, but right now it's looking kind of like they have a hole in that running back slot. I don't know who can replace Jay Ajayi. He had not been playing well, granted, but at least they had a back they could rely on, and now they have to go looking elsewhere for running back. They already have in LaShawn McCoy.
Right. So, and we will talk about that in the next segment in more detail. But for the running backs on their roster, Darren Sproles is not playing again tonight. He hasn't been a factor for them all season. Who knows what kind of role and importance he will bring when he finally is ready to play. But Corey Clement, Wendell Smallwood, both players have been banged up. Both players have seen action here and there. Do you really see that one of these guys will kind of take the reins and be the number one running back for this team, or do you think it'll be a committee until they bring in another body?
Definitely a committee. They're going to bring multiple guys and just try to do their best to just use the running game to improve their passing game.
Do you see one of these running backs as better than the other, though, between Clement and Wendell Smallwood, or do you just kind of see them as basically the same player?
They're basically the same player to me. They seem pretty even matched. They're basically above maybe even just average players.
Do you think that the Eagles will go more pass heavy now that Ajayi's gone?
Yeah, definitely. I think they were going to do that regardless, just to see how how Wentz can handle it.
Yeah. Alshon Jeffrey, it's nice to see him coming back from off-season surgery too. Another player on the Eagles and that offense making their way back to try and get to form. Alshon Jeffrey, we know how important he was for the Eagles last year. And, he's looked like he's come back and he hasn't missed a beat with Carson Wentz. He's clearly Wentz's favorite target. Do you think that Alshon Jeffrey is one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL?
I don't think he's underrated at all. I think he's good as everyone says he is.
What kind of range would you put him in? I'm not asking you to tell me exactly where he fits in, but would you say he's like the 10-15 range, lower, higher?
I would say 10, top 10.
Top 10?
I would put him number 10.
That would not be underrated. I don't know if other people would agree. Do you think that you're higher on him than what most people would say?
Maybe, but I just think he's always been a go-to receiver when he was on the Bears, and now when he's on the Eagles, he's always that one guy, and he's always been able to catch crucial passes in crucial moments.
There's no doubt about it. When he's healthy, the guy's a handful. He's got size. He's got speed. He can work in the red zone. He can work, in the possession game. He can be a guy that Wentz will throw the ball to short, in routes, out routes. He'll go up and get one too. So he's a very dynamic player. His issue's always been getting injured. He's always been a guy that's had a hamstring or a leg injury here and there. He's had to deal with some troubling minor stuff. Even when he plays, a lot of times he's been banged up. So hopefully he can stay healthy. Hopefully we can see the chemistry with Wentz keep going further as the Eagles look to improve their offense. They're sitting at 2-3, Jeff. Are you surprised by that?
No. I think that usually when you're off a Super Bowl win, you're going to start off sloppy just because of all the confidence you have, and you're on that Super Bowl hangover still. But I think they're going to bounce back and still take this division.
So these are their 5 games. They beat the Falcons on opening night, 18-12. They lose to the Buccaneers, 27-21. That was during the Fitzmagic era. I don't know if you remember that.
The what?
It's right after the technology era in the world. There was this time period.
The what?
Yeah, you know how the 2000s were like the IT, like the technology era in the world. Through world history. But in 2018, there was this crazy time period where there was this thing called a Fitzmagic era.
Is this like magicians or?
Yeah. It's like a magician.
Ooh, I like magicians.
Basically an Irish magician.
I've learned a couple magic tricks in my day.
Come see the Irish magician Fitzmagic.
He's Irish? Oh, I'm Irish too, so we're good. I think I'm Irish.
Anyways,
I have a lot of different blood relatives that are from different countries.
We'll get back here with the Eagles in their first 5 games. They beat the Falcons 18-12. They lose to the Bucs 27-21. They beat the Eagles the Colts. They are the Eagles. They beat the Colts 2016.
They beat themselves. Good for them.
They lose to the Titans 26-23, and they lose to the Vikings. So they're looking to avoid a 3rd straight loss. Do you think that they'll get a win tonight going on the road to face a rival in the New York Football Giants?
They're going to take this.
Yeah?
That's all I need to say. They're going to win 20-10.
Okay. So let's talk about the Giants for a minute.
No.
Last we saw of the Giants, they were defeated in Carolina. They came back in that game. It looked like they had it won. But Graham Gano breaks their hearts and breaks the hearts of all Giants fans with a 63-yard field goal. It's a tough way to lose.
Unbelievable, by the way.
That's a tough way to lose, wouldn't you agree?
That was a great game, too, but it's very tough. They scored with like less than a minute to go or something of that nature.
Yeah.
And they lose it off a 63-yard praying field goal. So,
yeah, it's a tough way to go for the Giants, but the Giants are also looking to avoid their third straight loss as they've lost to the Saints and now the Panthers. Interestingly enough, the Giants' last two losses, they gave up a total of 33 points both times. That's an odd number.
yeah, that is pretty odd.
Yeah, so the Giants' defense has allowed at least 20 points in every single game. Do you think that they have a chance here? I know you said that the Eagles are going to win this game 20-10, but do you think the Giants being at home on a Thursday night on a short week makes a difference? Do you think that benefits them? The Eagles are only a 2-point favorite for reference.
I still stand by what I said.
Okay, so how do you see the Giants season going from here on out? Let's assume they lose and they fall to 1-5.
I say 500, 8-8.
With the Giants?
Yeah.
We'll finish 8-8
Mm-hmm.
after starting off 1-5.
Yes.
Man, I thought you were just down on them. Now I'm like, wow, you're really high.
Yeah, you know where I'm coming from. That are they going to do 6 and 10?
No,
I'm at, okay. Honestly, that was joking. I'm gonna say like at best a 6-10. At worst, they could probably go 3-13.
6-10, 3-13. Yeah, man, that would be another.
If they
tough
do
year.
go 8-8, I'm gonna stand by what I said on this podcast and not think it was this joke. So
yeah, you could do that, but then we'll go back to the tape.
No one will go back this far.
Probably not. You're in the clear. Okay, so the Giants. Last we heard of them, Odell Beckham was sort of, kind of, maybe throwing Eli Manning under the bus.
Kind of.
Do you think that they will look to go
That is an understatement, sir.
Do you think they'll look to go to Odell early and often today and maybe try and get him the ball in behind the defense instead of in front of them?
If Manning can throw that far anymore. Or they'll just have Odell Beckham just keep throwing the ball. He'll be the one that scores touchdowns.
He does have one touchdown pass and one touchdown reception, so statistically he's just as likely to throw one than catch one.
Is that bad? Is that good? What would you say?
You know, this reminds me of a quote.
What is the quote?
A quote by Mark Twain. That there are... What is it? There are
This
lies.
isn't class. They didn't come in here for a English lesson. I haven't learned about Mark Twain since middle school, and I don't want to learn any more about him.
There are lies, there are damned lies, and there are statistics.
You know his name's not even Mark Twain, so he's a liar in general?
No, it's not.
Yeah, so he's just a liar. Why would you believe a guy that doesn't even tell us
Samuel,
his real name? He doesn't
Clement?
even tell us his real... Samuel, I think that's right. But he doesn't even tell us his real name. Why would you trust the guy?
I trust him.
You haven't met he's dead.
I trust him. I trust him more than I trust you. Let's put it that way.
Okay, what if I said, look, there's a car behind you. Maybe you should move out of the way. You wouldn't listen. You get hit by the car.
I'm not saying I wouldn't trust you, but if Mark Twain...
You just said you wouldn't trust me. Huh,
I said I trust him more than I trust you. If you said that, but then the ghost of Mark Twain said, don't worry about it, the car's not
ghost of
there,
Mark Twain.
I'd say, okay, Mark Twain, I believe you. So, going back...
This man just said the ghost of Mark Twain.
Going back to this matchup tonight, Jeff, we can't stray off topic this far,
Oh, yeah,
okay?
we can.
Saquon Barkley. Was it a mistake for the Giants to draft him and not draft Sam Darnold? or another quarterback?
I still think they should have drafted a quarterback.
So are you saying Barkley is not good?
I'm not saying Barkley is not good. He's great. But Eli Manning is so bad, you need a new quarterback. And you missed out on a huge draft class regarding quarterbacks. Eli Manning is at the end of his career. He's not going to be on here forever. Maybe 1-2 seasons, maybe. And you're not trusting your backup quarterback, who I don't even know who that is. And you took a chance and went with Barkley. And I say chance because you gave up on the biggest draft class quarterback-wise in the last couple of years, maybe even 10 years.
It's definitely going to be an argument that people will talk about for quite some time, especially considering that Sam Darnold plays in the same stadium. So knowing that,
sure, yeah, good point.
Knowing that, it's just it'll be a never-ending debate. Regardless, the kid from Penn State, he looks fantastic. Talk to me a little bit about what you see in Saquon Barkley and why the Giants fans are so excited.
He's special. He's a generational talent. He's got speed, power. He can do anything, catching the ball, riding the ball up the middle, running to the sides. He is so adaptable to any situation on the defensive side that they throw at him. He's just one of those special running backs that can make anything out of any play.
He's an every down back, like you mentioned. But if he's a generational talent, Jeff, then why did the Giants make a mistake by drafting him?
They're not making a mistake. I'm just saying they're putting too much faith in Eli Manning, thinking he's going to be there for a long time, when they should have played it about their future. The draft is looking at your future, not right now. That's how I see it. And they looked at it right now instead of their future.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they have their quarterback of the future on their roster.
And I love Barkley. I'm a huge Barkley supporter. But I think he just went to a team that just doesn't know what direction they're going in, and it's not fair to him.
Yeah, but, for him, he gets to play in his hometown. He's from New York.
I mean, sure,
that's pretty cool.
Sure, yeah, but I don't know. Eli Manning is not the guy anymore. He's past his prime. He's had 2 good seasons in his career where he won 2 Super Bowls. But other than that, what has he done in his career? I don't know. More interceptions and passing touchdowns, it feels like. Also, it's time for a new quarterback to wear in the New York Giants uniform to be under center.
Yeah. So we'll see if I think that both of us would probably agree on this. If the Giants finish with a top 5 pick, they're going to pick quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So let's go to a break.
They have to, right?
Yeah.
They have to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially if they finish that high. I don't know what quarterbacks would be rated that high for them, but it would make sense for them to go ahead and take one, even if they reach for it. Would you agree?
Yeah, but honestly, right now, this draft class, right now going into this next season, there's not really a quarterback that's like, this is a guy that can be a franchise quarterback, unfortunately, for them.
Yeah, there's not. At this time last year, there was like Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield are already like big names. They're already being talked about. And then you
see Josh Allen and Josh Rosen and Lamar Jackson, and that you're not going to get that many opportunities for that many good quality quarterbacks again.
Cool. So let's go to break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Eagles running back situation with the news that McCoy could be headed back to the Eagles, and some other interesting things about that. We'll talk about our top 5 MVP candidates in our opinion in the next segment to follow. So we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. We just finished talking about the Thursday Night Football matchup between the Eagles and the Giants. Now we're going to go talking more about the Eagles, as LaShawn McCoy has been rumored to maybe being traded back to the Philadelphia Eagles after the injury of Jay Ajayi. Do you think this is even going to happen?
I think it's extremely likely that it will happen.
Extremely likely. Likely.
I do. I think that this is a move that makes complete sense for both parties. As the Buffalo Bills, they could get rid of LaShawn McCoy's salary. They can get rid of a running back who's 30 years old as they continue their rebuild. And they could use another draft pick. I don't know what kind of pick they'll get for him, but I could imagine that they'll probably get like a third round, a fourth rounder. Even if they get a fifth rounder, those are picks that the Bills could use, whether to draft another player or maybe package that and move up in the draft if they're targeting somebody. So it makes sense for the Eagles too now with the loss of Jay Ajayi. They need a running back that they can rely on. And the fact of the matter is, Corey Clement, Wendell Smallwood, and Darren Sproles at this point in each one of those careers cannot be trusted as a full-time running back. We've seen Smallwood and Clement play in spurts, and then they get banged up, or then they're not effective. And we've seen Sproles at this point in his career. He's just an older guy. I don't know if he's even going to play for the Eagles. It just seems like he's been hurt this entire year. I don't know if they have a date in sight for his return, but what do you think about this? Do you think that this deal is likely to get done?
It's tough to say, to be honest. It's a toss up. Because does McCoy want to go back to Philadelphia? He's at the end of his prime. Will this even affect the Eagles' status going into a potential division championship run? Who knows? Because McCoy's at the end of his season. That's for sure.
At the end of his career? Or?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Career. That's what I meant.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at running backs and their shelf life, quote unquote, he's hitting that age where he will tail off. You don't think that he still has some juice left, though, or do you think that he would have enough to at least provide a boost to the Eagles?
It could be a boost. Could be someone you can do play action and maybe run the ball with and get some points in, but he's not going to be your superstar.
Really? You don't think he has the ability anymore with Sean McCoy?
What's he done in Buffalo? He's been average.
I mean, he had a pretty good season last year.
But nothing to go
all
home
things
writing
considered.
about.
All things considered, he played on a playoff team.
Okay, barely.
He was their best player.
Team. Let's get that straight.
Okay, but you're saying that he isn't that valuable nowadays, or?
I just think that he's lost a step or two, and what are you going to give up in return for him?
They'd probably give up like a third or fourth round pick.
I think that's even a little high. I think conditional fifth.
So last year he had 1,138 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but he's done better, way better than that in the past.
Yeah, he's definitely had better seasons in the past for sure. But still a nice season for him. I think he could provide a spark. Interesting thing about him, or about this conversation, is that Sean McDermott, the Bills head coach, he didn't really dismiss the reports. He was interviewed.
He likes to keep people on his toes, though.
He was at his news conference yesterday, and he said that LaShawn is one of their better players. He said that he thought LaShawn has been playing well. He said that they get calls all the time, and that their general manager and him talk a lot. He didn't want to go into detail, but he definitely did not dismiss the report or shoot it down like some coaches will do. What do you think? Do you think that there's when they say there's smoke, there's fire, you think that this is legit?
Give me that which I desire.
Do you think that this is legit?
Did anyone get that? No, it's a song. It can be legit. I mean, probably is going to happen, to be honest, but I don't know when or where it's going to happen.
I would say that it probably happens sooner rather than later. But yeah, I did want to mention something interesting to you that happened this week with the Eagles. The Eagles restructured Fletcher Cox's contract, which freed up $6.5 million in cash this year. They were already at the they were at the salary cap, and now they have freed up $6 million this week. It's something that kind of went unreported, or it wasn't really a big thing. Do you think that's important? Do you think that means that they're looking to add somebody like LaShawn McCoy?
Yeah, it could totally mean that, or it could mean they're just like. Remember, Fletcher Cox did get into his own teammate's face when he was arguing with another player and kind of had some Civil War turmoil there. Maybe that was punishment there. I'm not sure, but definitely could be a reason that they're releasing him for the like in the next season, or they're gonna.
No, they're not releasing Fletcher Cox.
Why would they free up that much money off of his contract?
Because LaShawn McCoy cost $6 million.
But why would Fletcher Cox agree to that?
Because he's changing his money into next year and future years where he's getting more in the long term.
I don't know, but
they freed up money. Like, regardless
McCoy's not going to be the only one that
Fletcher Cox is arguably the best defensive player in the NFL. He's not getting cut. I can promise
I wouldn't say McCoy's the only one they're looking at. I think they're looking at anyone that can actually boost their running game.
Sure. But they did talk about how they weren't interested in Le'Veon Bell, or, you know, it was reported that they wouldn't be seeking Le'Veon Bell, I guess is a better way. I did just find that interesting that this week they freed up $6.5 million, and LaShawn McCoy's contract for this season is $6 million. Like that makes it's an interesting thing, you know. Like it might be something.
It's definitely suspicious.
It might be nothing, or it might be something. Would you say it's a nothing or a something?
Do you have a coin?
No, you have to just give me your opinion.
No, I am Mr. Coin Flip.
You have to use your brain.
My brain hurts.
Is it something or is it nothing?
It's something.
It's something. You know it's something.
I know it's something. It has to be something.
It has to be. So LaShawn McCoy?
They wouldn't just give him a basically a pay cut for no reason.
Yeah, they're not restructuring for nothing. Like, you don't just be like, hey, let's restructure and free up $6 million that we need right now. So...
And why would he agree to this? He was like they're saying
he probably got a roster bonus like for next year, where that he's going to get like a guarantee.
He was like, we want to get blank, and we need you to do this. He's like, well, I like money. He's like, all right, well, we'll pay you extra in the next coming years. We just want to win right now. He's like, all right.
Interesting tidbit too is that McCoy does cost $6 million next year as well. So if they do,
they need $12 million then.
Yeah, I don't know if the restructuring of that contract for Fletcher Cox, if it's getting all shifted to next year, if they're spreading it out.
Maybe they're going to ditch Ajayi.
That's certainly possible. $6 million though is a big price for a running back.
Man, what I would do for $6 million.
But with 2 years, I think, or actually a year and a half, it's a gamble that I see the Eagles taking. So you talked about LaShawn McCoy. Maybe he doesn't want to be there or whatever, but his thing was he got shipped out by Chip Kelly. So that was a different regime. That happened a few years back. So I don't know. Do you think that they're saying
for Chip Kelly? He probably doesn't have hatred for the Patriots, the Eagles organization.
Right. And for him, he'd get a chance to go play for a team that has a chance to win a Super Bowl, whereas in Buffalo...
Do you think they have another chance to repeat? Do you think they have a chance to repeat?
Absolutely.
What do you give? What odds do you give them? Like out of 10? On a scale of 1 to 10?
Like how... Like, okay.
Like
odds or
10 being they're making that Super Bowl and they're probably going to win it. 1 being there's no chance they're making the playoffs.
I'll just say it like this. I think that they have a 10 to 15% chance of repeating.
So it's like a 2 or a 3.
Probably, yeah. That sounds right. Let's go with the 2.
Yeah, okay. So 2. So very slow, limb chance of making the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but their division sets them up where they can start slow and end fast and get hot and make a run again. Would you agree?
Yeah,
they're at 2 and 3, but
they're
who's their competition? The Redskins and the Cowboys. Like, come on, the Eagles are going to win that division.
But also look at the NFC in general. That's a pretty tough division or conference, if you ask me.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. I don't think that they're the favorite in the NFC at all, but I would say that they could be. Right now, they're probably if we had to do the NFC power rankings right now, off the top of my head, I'd probably put the Eagles at like 6.
Who'd you put at number 1?
Rams.
Who'd you put at number 2?
Saints.
Really? Not the Vikings.
The 4-1 Saints.
Granted. But I'm just saying the Vikings seem to be coming back in stride.
I agree.
But okay, number 3.
Number 3 would be probably...
Maybe I should give you time to write stuff down.
Maybe Carolina right now,
Okay,
as
I
of
can see
today.
that. Anyways, anything else you want to talk about the Eagles in this possible getting a new running back?
No. I mean, just to kind of wrap it up, with Sean McCoy, I could see this deal happening. I could see it done next week. We'll see. I don't think the Bills are going to be asking for too much for him. I think that they would.
I'm thinking 4th round pick.
I think the Bills would be okay with a 4th round pick and getting rid of the $6 million contract.
Hell, they might give him just a conditional pick, whatever round that is.
Yeah, it definitely could be a conditional pick. Like, hey, if he gets this many carries or something like that, or if you guys win the division, then it bumps to a 3rd or something like that. So I think it'd be a good deal for both sides.
Maybe they should just pull an NBA and go, let's go protected 1st round pick.
Yeah.
That'll never happen,
A
by the way.
protected pick. That'd be hilarious.
Can you imagine that in the NFL? How ridiculous that would be.
Yeah. So we'll wrap up this segment now. We will come back, and what we're going to do is we're going to give you Mark and Jeff's top 5 MVP candidates in the NFL as of today. I'll give you my 5. He'll give you his 5, and then we'll argue to the death about why each of us is right.
Guess we're finding the death here. We'll see you then.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. We've talked about the Thursday Night Football matchup between the Giants and the Eagles, and we've also talked about the LaShawn McCoy potentially going back to Philadelphia in an Eagles trade with Buffalo. Now we're going to talk about our Power 5 rankings for the potential MVP of the NFL. Mark, I'll start with you. Who's your number 5?
Number 5, Khalil Mack.
Okay.
The Bears are in first place in their
He's
division.
on my list too, but I won't say when.
The Bears are in first place in their division, and Khalil Mack.
I just told you he's on my list too.
He's like a strip sack every single game. He's just destroying offensive lines.
Number 5 is pretty low, don't you think?
No, because he's a defensive player, and they never get enough respect.
Defensist.
Yeah.
The NFL's defensist.
Trust me, I'm way high. If it was I know this is our MVP candidates, but I am taking into account what I think other people would say, what other people would vote. Mm-hmm. But yes, he is the most valuable defensive player in the NFL right now. Who would have thought? Definitely not John Gruden.
Yeah, of course not.
Who do you have number 5?
You might disagree with this, but Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. Okay, I don't. Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear your reason why he's number 5 and the reason why he's not higher.
Well, number 5 is because he was struggling the last 2 games. He didn't really play.
Struggling?
Well, 1 touchdown and a couple picks.
So against the best defense in the NFL.
Still, you got to be at your best against every team.
But did he struggle against the Broncos? I mean, he had 1 touchdown. I get it, but
that's what I was implying. Like his touchdown numbers are going down, and that's how you get into the MVP candidate.
So he's lost a little steam for you.
A little bit.
Okay.
Also, those 2 picks really put a damper on that. But honestly, I think it's just a high rookie. He's on a rookie high, right, or beginning a starter high at the moment, and it's just going to go downhill from there. Here, I could still see him as a potential MVP if he continues to play at a positive and consistent level. but I'm not getting my hopes up.
And he's got a chance to play in primetime this week against Tom Brady, so he has a chance to really boost his stock.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm putting him at number 5 and not like out of my list.
Sounds good.
All right, who's number 4?
My number 4 is Jared Goff.
Okay.
He is the quarterback of either the best or second best offense in the NFL. Depends on who you ask. He's just been consistent. He's been as sturdy as you want from a quarterback. He's making good decisions with the football. And he's just the conductor that's leading that Sean McVay circus. And he's impressed me this year through 5 games. He's really showed me that he's more than just a game manager.
Okay, I can see that. That makes sense. I wouldn't put him that high up, though, to be honest. I think there are other guys around him that could be more of a potential MVP.
Sure. Who do you have for number 4?
Well, he's also a Ram. Todd Gurley. How can you not put him in that potential spot?
Defend the Todd Gurley pick.
Has he been able to be stopped in the last 5 games?
No.
Exactly. That's all I need to say.
Dang it, I thought you were going to ask me more questions.
No, there is no reason why he's not in this top 5.
He is.
The reason I put him at number 4 is because just like what you said about Khalil Mack and defensiveness, I say that running backs normally are looked at as highly as quarterbacks are.
Agreed. They're also not given the proper respect in a quarterback-driven award.
Mm-hmm. Now, who's your number 3?
My number 3 is Gurley.
Okay.
So he's your 4, he's my 3. I just have Goff at 4 and Gurley at 3, but I think they kind of hinder each other a little bit. Okay. Like Goff is playing really well and Gurley is just on fire, so it's like it's hard to tell who's really the MVP of their offense, although I would give the edge to Gurley. But you could see from week to week how this could change. Like if Jared Goff has a big game this week, maybe he throws for 4 or 5 touchdowns and Gurley doesn't really provide some of the heavy lifting. So I think we could see these two, Goff and Gurley, kind of flip-flop through these power rankings throughout.
I can see that. Also, all right, so my number 3 is Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack.
I put him that high up because I have not seen a defensive player boost a defense this strongly in a long time. One guy has changed the whole course of that defense.
It's insane how big of an impact he's had. It's the Bears are 3-1, and I don't think their offense has been playing particularly well. They've had struggles, but that defense, with the addition of Khalil Mack, it's just become. It went from a good defense. I think the Bears are pretty good on defense, but it went from good to top notch. Would you say they're in the top 3, top 4?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question about that. I can put him even higher.
Cool. So Khalil Mack is your number 3. Again, he's my number 5. But of course, we both love the Khalil Mack on the Bears. We think that it's been a great addition. What a player. What an impact player. It really makes you wonder what the Raiders season would look like right now if they had him. Would they be 1-4? Or do you think they'd be better than that? They're 1-4 and they lost 3 games by one possession, and a strip sack in one of those games for sure could have led to a win.
Yeah, I can see a wild card spot maybe.
Yeah.
They have to finish games is basically what the main thing is.
All right, so are you interested in hearing who my number 2 is?
I am very interested.
You're actually interested in hearing something I have to say?
Not really, but go on.
Drew Brees.
Okay.
Drew Brees.
I agree with that.
Call me biased here. Maybe there's some recency bias because of the spectacular Monday Night Football game that he had, but the Saints are 4-1. I feel like they're flying a little under the radar for being a 4-1 team. Drew Brees is playing at an exceptional level. Mm-hmm. He does have a good running game, and they will take some touchdowns away from his total. But don't get it twisted. That man pulls all the strings. He calls all the audibles at the line. And he's just playing. He's kind of like Tom Brady. He gets older, and you still see the same production from the guy. And right now, I think he's the number 2 in the MVP. What do you think?
Okay.
Disagree. Tell me why.
I don't disagree. Well, I'll disagree in a second. Let me say my number 2 first.
Oh man, I think I know who your number 1 is.
Who? All right. I won't.
hold
say
on,
it.
hold on. But so what is your opinion on my Drew Brees at number 2 selection?
I can see that. It's logical.
Yeah.
That's literally all I can say.
All right. So who's your number 2?
Okay. Are you ready for this?
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh god, we were on the same page. Oh, that's friendship.
Y'all
right
ready for this?
Okay. Let me just hear me out about this. Okay?
I'm listening, Jeff. I'm just having a day right now. Just tell me who it is, man.
Okay. My number 2 is
drum roll.
Jimmy Garoppolo. No, I'm kidding. Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins, Minnesota Vikings. Step on down. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not in my top 5. He's not my number 1. But this is interesting. Let's hear it.
Well, he's been playing extremely well. Yeah, he's had some lags, but everyone has those. But I think
he's been carrying the team. The defense has been terrible this year so far.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he's had some kind of he's had an interception or two, but he, like you said, he's been carrying the team, and I think this team's gonna bounce back, be like a 12-4 type of team. Well, I guess you can't be 12-4 because they have one tie, so like 12-3-1 type of team. And
I like that you caught that.
Yeah, and I feel like he's gonna be the team's wake up call. He's gonna be this team's coffee. He's gonna lead them to a potential.
Man, you're selling me so hard right now.
Really?
I'm dead serious. Keep going.
He's gonna be the one that bounces them into the playoffs.
He's the coffee.
Yeah,
I love it.
And he's going to be. I need coffee. That's why I missed my coffee this morning.
Kirk Cousins is the coffee of Minnesota.
Yeah.
He's got to get now some local coffee shop has to use that, right? Like they
like a white chocolate mocha, a white chocolate a white chocolate Cousins.
Yeah,
a Cousins mocha. Anyways, Cousins mocha. I would drink that.
Yeah.
Anyways, Cousins is going to be this. They sign him for a reason. They give him all this guaranteed money, and he's going to make this. He's producing. He's going to make all worthwhile, and everything's going to come together. And this team is going to win games, and he's going to be the vocal head. And that's why I think he's going to be number 2 in my MVP rankings.
He's not in my top 5, but
he's got to be in the top 7.
I'm actually reconsidering now. You've made a good argument, and I'm reconsidering. He might take Goff's place at number 4 for me, but I'll keep Goff in there right now because the Rams are 5-0 and
Goff is not in my top 5.
Yeah, I know.
But I had Cousins over Goff.
So no, you make a compelling argument, and I agree.
All right, I think your number 1
I think the Vikings will continue to get better, and Cousins has such great receivers too, and he finds ways to get him the ball.
Exactly my point. He has such a good team around him that he makes.
And Dalvin Cook will be back.
But the thing is, he makes them better.
Yeah, and Dalvin Cook will be back. He has a great team
already, but he makes them better.
They're a better offense than they were with Case Keenum. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's your number 1?
Patrick Mahomes. He's your number 5. He's my number 1.
Okay.
So I understand what you're saying. What you said about him, about he's starting to cool off a little bit. His last couple of games, he hasn't put up the gaudy numbers that he did the first few weeks of the season, the first 3. But I think that he will be playing some easier defenses coming up, and it starts this Sunday night against the Patriots. I think the Chiefs...
I would say they're a weak defense. I would agree with that.
I think the Chiefs are going to go into New England, and I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I don't know if they're going to win because I'm not going to say Tom Brady can't do the same thing that Mahomes.
74-0. No.
Tom Brady can go in there like this is a game where Mahomes can throw for 6 touchdowns and they can lose because their defense is so bad and Brady's so good that they could lose that game. I'm going to say that Mahomes will go in there. He gets 350 yards passing, 5 total touchdowns.
Wow. That's
5 total touchdowns, either rushing or passing.
Okay.
Maybe 4 because Kareem Hunt might get one. But he's going to have a day. He's going to have at least 350 and at least 4 touchdowns. I see Patrick Mahomes taking this MVP race by the neck by this weekend.
Okay. Well, let's agree to disagree on that one.
Well, I mean, he's in your top 5, so you even agreed too that if he has a big game this week, he probably goes up in your rankings.
Yeah, but we'll see again.
So
my number 1,
Jeff. Hold on. Who's your number 1?
Drew Brees.
Ta-da!
He's just the best right now. He not just because he broke the record.
He's just the nicest guy too.
He is a very humble, nice guy, and that helps a lot. But
how awesome was that? Him on the side. Sorry to interrupt you, but him on the side saying, You know, guys, you can do whatever you set your mind to. Like, that was such a... it wasn't
that was a genuine
It was
thing.
genuine, but it could have been taken very cynically.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
But it was so... He said it so genuinely.
See, guys, anything you put your mind
Just
to...
go to a very successful school education-wise in Purdue and become a quarterback.
And the best part about that interaction was his wife saying, "All right, now go win the game."
Is that what she said?
Yeah, she gave him a kiss. She said, "I'm proud of you. Now go win the game."
Oh, that's a wife for you. That's a great wife.
That's
but anyways,
awesome.
I say he's number one not only because he broke the record, but he's probably the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
It's hard to argue against it. Cousins,
He's been on fire these last 5 years.
Mahomes, Breeze, and Goff.
Fitzpatrick
For a minute.
For a minute and a half.
But those four, even though you didn't put Goff in your top five, like even I think we can both agree that all these
Honestly,
four quarterbacks
all
are playing so well right
all
now.
our MVP, the MVP power rankings, all of them could have been quarterbacks.
They could have, but man, we just got to give Khalil Mack some love because that dude, what he's doing is incredible. He's Defensive Player of the Year so far.
Absolutely, that's hands down.
I don't even
But
think that's close. If we did a top five power ranking for Defensive Player of the Year, it'd be Khalil Mack, and Khalil Mack. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't see anyone else that's even coming close.
There's some other good players, but there's no one making that impact on the
not at
defensive
all.
side of the ball.
But Drew Brees is my number one, and he's probably a lot of guys' number one MVP candidates at the moment.
Especially after last Monday on national stage, everybody's watching Monday Night Football. He breaks the record. Everything just like fell into place for him. Saints are on a bye week though, so we won't see Drew Brees in action this week, and he'll have the week off before they return. So we'll see the Saints and how they look to improve on that 4-game winning streak. It's crazy. Isn't it crazy to remember that they lost in week 1 to the Bucks?
That was a high-scoring game, too.
But it's just so, like, you look at it now and you're like,
they woke up and became a dominant team again, and I still think Drew Brees is most likely going to win MVP in my book.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say right now, but it is pretty wide open. But I like these players that we named. I think your list is pretty good. When we come back from the break, we can talk about. Let's take a look at college football. We have some notable matchups. I see 3
top 25 matchups. I love them.
I see 3 matchups between both teams that are in the top 25 in NCAA. We'll talk about those. We'll talk about other news and notes around the NFL and NCAA when we return.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
And welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. We've talked about the Thursday night football matchup between the Eagles and the Giants. And we've also, I almost said Bills for a second because LaShawn McCoy talks about getting traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. And we also talked about our Power 5 rankings for MVP candidates through 5 weeks of the NFL season. Now we're going to college football. Top 25 matchups. There are a couple top 25 versus top 25 games going on. The first one that I think you wanted to discuss was LSU versus Georgia.
Yeah, LSU hosting the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs come in, of course, 6-0. They're ranked number 2. LSU, they're coming off that loss to Florida on the road.
A handed loss to Florida.
Yeah, but they get this game at home, so we'll see if that changes things. Georgia comes in. I mean, they've been cruising, man. They won again against Vanderbilt last week. None of their games have been particularly close. What do you think this game was going to look like? Do you think it'll be close?
There's a very good possibility. LSU was number 5 before losing to Florida last week, and they dropped to 13, which is a huge drop. And Georgia number 2, obviously one of the best teams in the nation, just based off. You can't do anything to look at the rankings to see how good they are. But overall, I do think the 7.5 point favorite Georgia. It sounds about right. 7.5 points.
I'm not sure I like that spread, to be honest with you. I do like Georgia in the game.
I do see it as a 1 touchdown game, though.
Yeah, the 7.5.
I could see this going to overtime, to be honest.
If I were to put money on this game, I'd probably buy a point there, so I could get -6.5 and just get a little bit off the odds.
Over under a 50. Are you going over or under?
That's a good question. I'd probably go over.
I was gonna say under because their the main thing about them is their defense. Georgia, I mean.
Yeah. No, it's one of those. Vegas is really good at setting those over unders.
Yeah.
They're normally within a point or two.
One of the shocking top 25 matchups that I see that's between a ranked and unranked team is between Colorado and USC. You would think USC would be the ranked team in that, but Colorado, number 19 at 5-0, is facing the 3-2 unranked USC.
And USC is favored by 7.
Do you think that's fair?
USC has lost twice. Colorado's undefeated, so I get it.
They're in Pac-12 though together.
Mm-hmm.
So shouldn't the Colorado Buffaloes be given some more love?
Well, USC is at home. I think that as you look at the spread here, and you look at college football in general, Colorado is not a powerhouse team, like in terms of they're not known for being there. They're not known for being a dominant program. So I understand why they are maybe disrespected a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But I mean, hey, this is their chance. They're playing USC, and regardless what you think about USC and what you think about them being unranked, it's a game against a team, against a program that is well known nationally. So Colorado can make a statement here, going on the road, going to Southern California and winning the game.
Yes, definitely. Another game that I think is interesting to watch back in the Pac-12 is Washington versus Oregon.
That is the Pac-12 game of the week right there.
7 versus 17. Washington, they did have a chance to get into the top 4 when they were undefeated, but lost, unfortunately, a couple weeks ago to, I believe it was let's find out.
We're talking about Washington?
Yeah.
Washington
lost to, I'm trying to find it.
Washington.
I just had it here. My phone just went nuts.
They lost to number 9 Auburn.
That's right.
In the first game of the season. So that was a quote-unquote good loss. They've won every game since then.
Yeah, they're bouncing back. I think they still have a chance to make it into the football playoffs back again. But right now, I definitely see...
And Oregon's only loss was to number 7 Stanford, so it should be a really good game, man.
It should be close. It should be definitely close.
Do you think... so Jake Browning, he's from Sacramento?
Yes, I do know that.
Nice.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah. So
in our area, Northern California, everyone knows he's from Sacramento. Everyone loves him here.
So what do you think? The over-under is 58. Washington's also favored by 3. It's at Oregon. What do you like here? Do you think it'll be a high-scoring game?
Yes, because both defenses are not as good as their offenses. Both defenses are good, no doubt, but their offenses are just one step ahead.
Yeah. Do you like Washington or Oregon in this game?
I like Washington, personally.
I think it'll be a tough game. I think I'm going to go with Oregon to win. I think they'll pull the upset. They're at home. It's tough to play.
I feel like it's not really an upset. Though.
Yeah, it's not real. It's technically an upset, but yeah, you're right. It's not like it would be a shock or anything.
A game that should be between 2 ranked teams, Michigan State and Penn State. Michigan State's unranked. They started off pretty sloppy with 3-2 against number 8 Penn State at 4-1. So, do you see Michigan State?
We just talked about a Michigan State alum, Kirk Cousins.
Oh, right. I was like, who are you talking about? I was like,
but yeah, what were you going to ask me, though, about this game?
Do you see a Michigan State trying to bounce back and get back into that top 25 with a win over Penn State?
A win versus Penn State will definitely put them in the conversation. Maybe it wouldn't throw them back in the top 25 this week, but it would certainly put them on their way. Their losses, against ASU and Northwestern are killers.
Another game that's surprising in the top 10 ranking is number 9 Texas facing Baylor. Number 9 Texas is the shocker right there, just because of how they started and their upset win, and just how they all of a sudden just became into relevance again.
Yeah, and that's a game too where that's a big spread. I like Baylor to cover that. 14 points.
Well, they beat Oklahoma 48-45, which was probably the biggest win in the last couple of years for them. And moving them up to number 9 is a huge step.
Yeah, Baylor lost to Oklahoma by 33 points.
Yeah, I think that's why the differential is so bad.
Baylor, I see this is going to be a high-scoring game. I would say it's going to be something like 45-41.
Oh, think that close.
Maybe 45-35, but still, I like Baylor to cover. They score too many points for me to give up. Like, I'm not giving up. I'm not taking Texas in 14. You're asking for a lot, you know?
Yeah, I think a game that's a sleeper game is number 5 Notre Dame versus Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh last year beat a high-ranked Miami team that took them out of the college football playoff talk.
Yeah,
they could do it again against Notre Dame.
You see Pittsburgh giving them a problem, maybe?
Possibly. I mean, they gave Miami a problem with the whole defense that just crumbled against Pittsburgh. Who says it can't happen again against
My problem with
Notre Dame?
My problem with Pitt is that they lost to number 13 Central Florida 45-14, and then they lost to number 13 Penn State 51-6.
Well, this is what happened last year when they beat Miami. They were looked at as a joke.
Pittsburgh, they actually give up more points than they score. No, I don't think this will be close, honestly.
Well, I'm saying it's a sleeper game to watch.
Yeah.
If it gets close, it's a surprise. But don't take Pittsburgh out of it.
It's at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's now top 5. They could get higher after this week. We'll see. We'll see what happens. What about that big matchup between Wisconsin and Michigan? That is a huge game. This is like, for me, this is a Michigan must win.
It's at the Big House in Michigan,
if
I'm not mistaken.
I think this is a big game for Michigan. I think this is a game Harbaugh needs to have. Like, he has to win these games. He can't keep losing the big games.
Yeah, this is definitely a do or die situation for Harbaugh, because he might still have a job there because of his history, but overall he hasn't really sealed the deal with good seasons.
And can you believe that Michigan is actually favored by 9.5?
That is a big point That's a big point differential, if I had to say so myself.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all. I like Wisconsin to keep this game close. I don't know if they're going to win, but I could see them winning this game easily. And to get 10 points, I like that. I like it. I like taking that side. Although it is at the Big House. So it will be interesting. Do you think Michigan wins this game?
I do. He has to.
Harbaugh has to?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Harbaugh's tenure at Michigan has been, I wouldn't say a failure, but it's been less than stellar. Like, I think everybody expected a little bit more by this point. Mm-hmm. Maybe a few more, maybe a college football playoff appearance, like just more. Urban Meyer is running that conference, and even Wisconsin, I feel like, has had more success. But we will see what happens. I think that's all we have for today. Any other college matchups you want to talk about?
I was about to ask you the same thing. I think I found all the ones I was looking forward to.
Yeah. Do you think that there's a team in the top 25 that we didn't mention that you're putting on upset alert right now? Like a different game?
No.
Yeah. Like any notable ones?
Maybe South Florida losing to Tulsa. But Tulsa's 1-4. And South Florida is 23.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but and that game is actually tomorrow.
Yeah,
South Florida and Tulsa, and that's not. Yeah, that would be an upset actually. So okay, yeah, well,
that's all the time we have for the day.
We will be back tomorrow to talk about tonight's Thursday night football game. We'll talk about the upcoming NFL matchups as well.
Yes, we will see you tomorrow.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.